guess what you found? You have found Saturday edition, but now it's like Sunday, so I'm not really sure what to call it. But you found this. It's Sam I beat Gangi with Anne Marie, who let me see if I've got this correct. I have to look it up quickly. It is a certain person's birthday, I believe. You've now turned 21, right, Anne Marie?
Yes. On the big 4-0 today. Yay!
It's official. There you go. Can you see it? There you go.
Oh, thank you.
Go ahead and shut that off before we get flagged. All right, what do you have here about us Snowden being dead? I'm very intrigued, so I'm going to let our birthday girl start this off today. Friends, if you're listening, hit share and subscribe. This is Media Speaks Live.
Oh, thanks. Okay, well, this week has been really exciting. I mean, Edward Snowden has his own Twitter page, and on it, he tweeted, he basically tweeted something like, have you heard from me in a while? Have you heard from me since like 2013 or something? And then he put, it's time. I might not be getting that exact quote right, but he put, it's time. Then his next tweet after that was a series of numbers. It was like, it's like a lot of numbers and letters. And a lot of people were saying he's gonna, was this and then it was deleted. It was a 64-character code, and people were interpreting it as a dead man switch. They said that a dead man switch is a message set up to be automatically sent if the holder of the account does not perform a regular check-in. So according to this article, they said in Snowden's case, his dead man switch could possibly be the key to the encrypted files he distributed among journalists and associates.
What was that again?
It was basically, the first message was something like, have you heard from me in a while? It's time. And then he put like, it's time. And then after that, he put a tweet of a series of like characters, of like numbers and letters. And then they said that right after that happened, that at least 8 popular torrent sites used for distributing large files were immediately taken offline after that tweet. And that suggests to some of these people that the files were being suppressed or at least slowed down. So so then there was an article. So then now, so there's this tweet, it's time. Then there's another tweet after that about these characters. And then that's got deleted. So that could be a key. Now, he gave a lot of to these journalists like Glenn Greenwald, who now works at The Intercept. And he gave like a lot. I mean, there's someone writing a book. Oliver Stone is doing that movie. So, but anyway, some of these journalists have this information, which is like his security. It's like, basically, don't kill me. If you kill me, I'll release all this information. So that's what people were wondering. Is there going to be a release of information? So now there's a couple of things that happen. Basically, this guy, there's this blog called getoffthebs.com, and he reported that there was this newspaper, there's this Russian newspaper. It's called MKRU News, like M as in Mary, KRU News, Russia. They reported that on a Saturday, like last Saturday, that a drunken man basically saved this woman's. There was like a group of people. Then there was this drunk guy, with his wife. His wife goes into the water, drowns, she starts drowning, and this man and then this man comes and saves her life. And then this drunk man, this is a crazy story I'm going to tell you. This drunk man comes out into the parking lot with a knife and stabs the guy that saved his wife's life. This is a crazy story. Now, there's no names in this article. So I went to the website mk.ru. This is the Russian website. I translated it. It's Russian. I translated it into English, and there's comments at the end of it. Now, according to this blogger on getoffthebs.com, says that he went to that, and there was a comment on there by Edward Snowden's mistress. And now when I went there, I went to that MKRU news site, also translated it, went to the comment section, and it was deleted. It wasn't there. But according to this blogger, he says it was there and then deleted. Now, of this man who got stabbed, the man who got stabbed died. And in the comment section, this woman, her name is Natasha, she wrote, this is the English translation. She wrote, "The man who died was my friend, Edward Snowden. He was a great fighter and will miss me and my family. What a senseless death from a drunken." Okay, so that's supposedly Edward Snowden's mistress. Then Lindsay, now I don't know if people know this, but Lindsay, there is a Lindsay out there that's Edward Snowden's girlfriend that he was living with in Hawaii, and he left, after he had to leave her and everything like that. Lindsay then comes on, and her response was this: "Natasha, you bitch, you had no right to inform someone about the death of my dear Edward. You're a whore. Enough for you cheated, slept with my husband. It was my place to break the news. News must be broken. Shame on you, whore." Now, these comments were supposedly in the comment section of this MKRU article about this man who died, who saved the life of this woman who drowned. Now, there's no names in the article at all. And then these comments, when I went to this MKRU website, are not there anymore. So I don't know if this blogger is telling the truth. He says that he's telling the truth. He took screenshots of this. So I really don't know. But he's saying that this confirms to him that this man who died was Edward Snowden, and that his mistress is Natasha and his girlfriend is Lindsay. She's pissed off that this happened. Now, I don't know if this is true.
I have to say, did you please tell me you saved the account information of the person who left the comment? Can we contact them at all?
Well, I didn't. When I went to the article, that comment, those two comments from Natasha and Lindsay were not there.
Do you have Natasha and Lindsay's contact information?
No, I don't.
And you shut that off. Well, whatever. Oh, that's a shame. I would like to go ahead and find that account. Go ahead and give everybody the article name again, so they can look it up if they choose.
Oh, sure. Now, this man, who's a blogger, he's on getoffthebs.com, and he is the one that took a screenshot of Natasha and Lindsay's comment on that MKRU website. So he's the one that said that it was there. Now, the website is mk.ru. They have the article there, and they also have the article on a Facebook page, and they're a Russian news organization, and they actually, did report this murder. And so I don't know who this person is. But now with Edward Snowden, now you know that he's close with Glenn Greenwald, and he works at The Intercept. Now, The Intercept has released on August 10th that like a couple of days later, they did release some new things from Edward Snowden. Suppose that Edward Snowden gave them in like 2003. Like this is from like 2003 NSA documents. So Edward Snowden, these documents basically said that the NSA was couldn't get any info their technology because Al Qaeda was using like old radios and that's how they were contacting each other. So there was some information that they released, but I don't know if Edward Snowden is alive or dead or what. I mean, the last time I checked his Twitter, there was no real update. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Well, I'm going to try something fun. I'm going to go to screen share. And I'm going to type in Edward Snowden. And I'm going to then filter it out here to reflect what was posted just in the past day. It says he rakes in speaking fees. Suppose did he speak 3 days ago? Because
you know,
that's the question. Let's see if he spoke 3 days ago. If they just talked about it. I don't know. I guess if his speech is worthless now, at that point, then maybe we would have to question it further. People listening, make sure you let me know because I'm live on Twitter right now and under the correct views, which is my show name, Media Speaks. There you go. Go there. Give me your opinion. What do you think about Edward Snowden being dead? Do you know of any place that he has spoken? And if so, does anybody know anything about this website that I have already found? Conspiracies for us today on your birthday, don't you?
I love conspiracy theories. I love talking about it. I know, and that's weird too, because when I went to Google to look up Edward Snowden, that is what came up. It came up that Edward Snowden makes money from speaking fees. And it's like, well, what about this mysterious tweet? What about, is he alive? Is he dead? Is it a dead man switch? I mean, where do you find that information? If you can't go to Google, which is like the #1 search engine, that's what comes up, a New York Post article about Edward Snowden makes money off of speaking fees. I mean, what about, is he alive? You know, like, what about all this? So that was disappointing when I looked that up. Okay, now the other conspiracy theory we could talk about is, now he's 27 years old and he worked for the DNC. They said behind the scenes that he was a Bernie supporter. Now, this is like a conspiracy theory. He was murdered. He was shot and killed in Washington, D.C., in supposedly a pretty good neighborhood in Washington, D.C. And I think he was like actually shot in the head. Now, police said that it was a robbery attempt. Now, his family has come out and said, no way, this was robbery, because he was left with his wallet, his watch, his cell phone was still on him. I mean, what kind of a robbery attempt is that? So anyway, this is the other thing. I know a lot of people are saying behind the scenes that the Russians leaked the DNC emails, or maybe it was a Guccifer 2.0. But now the conspiracy theory is it was not the Russians. It was this Seth Rich, this young 27-year-old that worked at the DNC. And this is why. Because WikiLeaks, now Julian Assange did a series of interviews. And now Julian Assange will not, WikiLeaks and Julian Assange never gives away their sources. So they never say who their sources are. So interesting, WikiLeaks is now offering a $20,000 reward for info of the murder of this Seth Rich. And people now, the conspiracy theory is that this Seth Rich is the one who is the source for WikiLeaks of these DNC emails. And a lot of people don't buy that it was a robbery. So
This is the man, Newt Gingrich of all people, had said regarding this that he thought that there was some murder under mysterious circumstances. I'm paraphrasing here, that it certainly needed to be looked into. And was he the second person attached to the Clintons this week that that's happened to? Or earlier when I was reading, were they just talking about the large number of people that have disappeared under the Clintons?
oh yes, I mean I could see why people are nervous because the Clintons. I know that a lot of people are saying they're like the mafia. Like they'll put a hit out on you. Supposedly, this is allegedly. Like anybody that comes near them seems to get harmed. And this Seth Rich was really, even though he worked for the DNC, he was really a Bernie supporter. So maybe that was why he wanted to get these emails out there.
And his
And
family, it should be noted, his family like rushed out in panic mode about saying, "Quit talking about this, quit talking about this," which made it even more suspicious because that's what you would do if you were afraid that you were going to be next. And I thought that that was just human nature on display. Like if I disappeared under mysterious circumstances, Anne Marie, do you think that Christelle or even you as my friend are going to say, "No, no, 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 don't look into that. It's fine. You're just disgracing Sam." No, you're not going to do that.
right, we're gonna be like, what happened to him? We want answers. This wasn't a robbery. I mean, some of his family members supposedly.
For listeners and for historical purposes, I am not suicidal, nor am I driving at high speeds or doing anything that would substantially lessen my life. Are you, Anne Marie?
Me too. I'm not suicidal. I'm not depressed. I'm happy.
Go on, my dear.
We don't want to insult the Clintons and have something bad happen to us. We're too young. We're still young. But yeah, this guy. I mean, now this is just my belief. I can see conspiracy theory why would now the police department has offered their own $25,000 info on his murder. Now, why would WikiLeaks offer their own $20,000 exactly reward? Because he probably was their source. So, and that's terrible. I mean, he was so young, and to be murdered over like this email scandal. What's the worst that happened? Hillary may still be president, and this guy is dead. The emails are out there, and he was only years old. I mean, I just think it's awful. So that was another conspiracy thing that happened this week. Um,
20? You said that he was only 20.
oh, he was 27. Can you imagine? Only 27 years old.
Um,
Wait,
I don't know if you had heard about it, but I think that there was a lot more. I remember there being a lot more uproar when it first began, and then the family immediately trying to silence it, happening almost within the same day that WikiLeaks did this. And I would like to say that WikiLeaks puts it out there to the people on a regular basis. Do you have any other ones? Because I have an odd science one for you.
oh, good. Okay. Well, science. Now, the International Space Station, they have NASA has a live feed, and it's picked up a lot of conspiracy theorists are saying are UFOs. And there's like a YouTuber named Street Cap One, and he usually picks up some really cool UFOs. Now, what happens is usually as soon as you start seeing a bright light in the sky coming towards the ISS or weird ship like thing, all of a sudden the ISS feed goes, and all of a sudden it goes to like blue. It's like a blue screen. It cuts out. So NASA has come out and denied that they cut its feed whenever like a UFO comes into the picture. So, but now NASA has like released this past week. They have announced that they're going to officially end that feed and cut it off for good. The live feed at the International Space Station starting September 1st, I
Yeah,
think.
I'm gonna try to do a delay, friends. Here's what she's talking about by delay, guys. If you're giving credit here. UFO sighting NASA cuts International Space Station video feed as the weird object sighting. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, this is nothing but military usage from the government. Maybe, but that breaks a number of treaties on both sides, both the West as well as Russia and China. There are certain things that they are not supposed to be doing in space. So if it's something we have up there, it certainly is questionable. And there's just one of the videos to talk about it there. Um, Go on with that as I pull up screen share here for you.
Yeah, I mean I believe that there's probably alien life out there and there could be UFOs. I mean some of these sightings sometimes are drones, sometimes they're not really a UFO. Sometimes we actually can identify the object or a drone or sometimes because a lot of people nowadays have drones and things, but sometimes there are objects up in the sky that are really unusual, and it's like, what are these things now? Especially if the International Space Station is picking them up. I mean, these things all the way out there. If it's not a satellite, you know, and like you said, if it's not a military aircraft or whatever the heck is going on up there, I mean, or
Here, friends. Let's go back. Let me go back. Now there is this strange object. There's a blue screen, and bam, immediate cutaway, immediate cutaway, and you're seeing what she's talking about right there on the screen share. Friends in Twitterville, make sure you let me know I'm on the correct view with this what you're seeing. Go ahead, Anne Marie.
yeah, I think that's too much of a coincidence that every time there's something that's suspicious that comes on screen, and these people are catching it, like Street Cap One, these YouTubers are catching it. I think that NASA is cutting their feed, and for them to actually have to come out and say we do not cut our feed, and now
Here's my question.
they're going to cut the
Since
feed.
it is a blue screen, it does remind me of what a lot of the older technology did with blue screens, both in computers and, of course, the infamous blue screen of death. But that's only because that's the default color that's on the systems. VCR tapes did it. A lot of older technology did it. Not saying that the space station would have old technology, but it might not necessarily have the most cutting edge depending on how long it's been used. But it's interesting that this seems to only happen during this cutaway problem, as it were, doesn't happen when it's not a UFO. Is that correct?
Exactly. I mean, it cuts away as soon as this happens. And now, why are they cutting away this feed for good? I mean, it's interesting to have that live feed. It's just a camera. They could leave it up there. Why are they cutting that? You know, I believe in total transparency, transparency in the government, transparency of our space program. I mean, we should be able to, it's already up there, the camera. I want to see what's going on up there. And I find it interesting. I love the space program. And that would keep people more interested in the space program to see live feed of the International Space Station and see what's going on up there.
So, friends, it
Um,
does make you wonder: is this an issue of perhaps weaponry in space that should not be there, satellites maybe that should not be where they are, or could it be UFOs? Could it be something to do with CERN? These are questions that we don't necessarily have answers to, but we know that something very strange is going on, to say the least. Um,
that's so true.
I've got one. Anne Marie has recently moved to the area here, so I want you to see what if you go swimming in the area, these teeth here belong to a fish.
Oh,
It is a from RT Gentalia eating, and that would be the balls for you Pesci fans. Gentalia eating human toothed fish pulled from Michigan lakes. The tropical fish liver to feast on male genitalia is being dumped by pet owners into Michigan lakes, and conservationists are not happy about it. The pacu fish is an all-devouring or omnivore species native to South America and is closely related to the razor-toothed, piranha. Those are some chompers indeed. According
oh,
to the Michigan Department of of natural resources, the mouth of the month of July became synonymous with reports of anglers that would be fishermen landing pacas while fishing in state lakes. They suspect the pet owners discard the fish, but they can no longer take care of them. Why? Because they can get to 25 pounds, 3.2 feet long, and the river dwellers' frighteningly powerful jaws make them a distinctive in the underwater world. It says that gnashers have been described as human-like, square, blunt dentures to crush up a mixed diet of fruit, nuts, and vegetation, as well as shellfish and insects. So don't ask me where the hell they get the fruit and the nuts from, but I guess they do. The first surprise discovery in Michigan. It wasn't expected. So it's not going to harm the local environment. It's very likely cold weather is going to kill them. But it says rumors have circulated that the strange warm water fish has a taste for chewing on testicles. However, there are no confirmed reports actually happening. In other words, if you come out singing like King Diamond, I guess that doesn't count. It appears the story originated in 2013 when a Danish professor jokingly suggested in a press release that the pacu could mistake a swimmer's testicles for fruit floating in the water. So welcome to the region, Anne-Marie, and of course, it warrants to not get rid of your animals this way, as it is not but I figured I would share that wonderful, beautiful story with everyone. For the betterment of all, enjoy your swimming.
That would be scary.
Like half the viewers away. That is so awesome. What else do you have?
Another conspiracy theory is the Chelsea Manning case. Now, supposedly this week in the news, you know that he's in like an army prison, and the laws are basically a little bit different since he's like, in an army, situation. But they said that this is according to what I read on the internet this week. Supposedly, now he tried to kill himself. Like a few weeks ago, Chelsea Manning, and he has not been allowed to see a doctor. They won't let him see like a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And
Who's they?
The army, I guess the people, and they said that basically he was read verbally. Now he wasn't given a piece of paper, but verbally told that he could be put in solitary confinement, and he could get in trouble because he had some. I think he had like a magazine that he wasn't allowed. It might have been that Vanity Fair magazine with Bruce Jenner when he transitioned into a woman. I think it was like contraband, and they read him verbally all these things that he's accused of. It's a whole list of things. So he called up his lawyer and verbally told him this list of things that he was told by somebody. And now the ACLU on their website supposedly has listed these charges that might be brought against, Chelsea Manning. And this is like another conspiracy because we don't know what's going on in this military prison. And it sounds like he's like, like in America, he should have a right to see a doctor. And, he's a whistleblower. And again, I believe in transparency in government. And I know a lot of people, it's like half and half. There's a lot of people who believe he's like a traitor and he shouldn't have released any information. But,
He's a hero.
Yeah, I think so too. Because but the thing he released was a video of like our army men from an air, like a pilot trying to bomb like innocent civilians. But we know that this happens in war. I mean, we were basically told this happens in war. They kill innocent children and innocent people. That's why war is horrible. And that's why we have diplomacy and we try to send diplomats, not, we don't want to send our military straight in and take over, other places. And we want to, resolve things diplomatically because war is horrible. And I just feel like, he's being mistreated, it sounds like, in jail. And it just sounds like I don't know what's going on in there, but difficult for him to even speak to his own attorney. So all we know is this verbal list. I guess we'll just have to kind of keep on top of this. It sounds like the ACLU is on top of it a little bit, and his lawyer is trying to get it out there. But he's stuck in this jail, and we don't know what he's going through in there. And I wish that like Obama and Hillary and all of them would be transparency in government. And these are whistleblowers that, there's a reason why they're whistleblowers. They're trying to tell the American people things and they're getting punished for them. So, we're supposed to be in America and have rights. So anyway, that was my Chelsea Manning update. I mean, I really don't know what's going on in there, but it doesn't sound good.
I'd like to add that longtime viewers know that I'm somewhat disillusioned with Gary Johnson in this segment, and I have been leaning towards a Donald Trump presidency. But my one major concern, and I have said it all along, is that I'm very concerned that Donald Trump is going to eviscerate the Fourth Amendment, and that people like Chelsea Manning and people like Snowden are going to be punished, and we're going to see less of them, and they're going to see them abused. And that is one of the things that I think Trump is into here. Um, but again, I mean, you had Gary Johnson today come out talking about the benefits of the Black Lives Matter movement. So I mean, he's been kind of a few flies short of a happy meal. So I mean, it's been an interesting cycle.
Yes, that's so true. I mean, I watched, he was on CNN, Gary Johnson, with William Weld, like last week. And he was on, like Anderson Cooper, like has these like town hall meetings. And they say that there may even be a third podium next to Hillary and Donald Trump, because Gary Johnson is growing in numbers and he may be on that stage debating, which would be really interesting. But
I would like to see, even though Johnson has been letting me down this cycle, I will say one thing for sure is that I would be just as excited even if it wasn't Johnson, because I think that needs to happen. We need to have a third party debate. We need to see how Donald Trump handles this. What's odd is that, and again, not so much Hillary, because Hillary has been dealing with people of like Ron Paul and that are trying to ignore them forever. It's sort of new to Trump, I think. But I mean, having that third point of view. But I think it's also important to note that Gary is leading libertarians, because a lot of them are, including myself, are just fed up with some of the ideas that he has. Like, we enjoy getting rid of the corporate tax, but we don't enjoy his support of NAFTA and the TPP. We're glad that he's socially liberal, but you can't come out on the side of Black Lives Matter and call yourselves someone who cares about other people's rights. When Black Lives Matter is burning cities down, oftentimes their own cities. Um, there are things about Johnson that worry us greatly, but his core values, his non-interventionism, his freedom of speech, and those kinds of things are boom. So it will be very interesting to see what he brings to the table. Have you heard about the world's luckiest man?
no, I haven't. Who's the world's luckiest man?
How would you like to survive a plane crash and then mere days later win $1 million?
Wow.
This is UK. They have the best article. They really do. In this, the world's luckiest man is this Dubai air crash survivor wins $1 million 6 days later. Um, an Indian man has won over $1 million just 6 days after he survived the terrifying Dubai air crash. Mohammed Bashir Abdullah Kahar, easy for me to say, was on Emirates flight EK521. It crash landed at Dubai Airport. He escaped along with all 300 on board minutes before the plane exploded into a fireball. Now keep in mind, he must have thought he was lucky then. Well, now it has emerged that the 62-year-old grandfather, I wish it could have happened for him sooner in life, has won the equivalent of $1 million after buying a winning lottery ticket.
Wow.
He works at a Dubai dealership. I bet you he does. I bet you he told that Dubai goodbye. Purchased the ticket before going on a family holiday to. All right, you could. Here we go, friends. It looks like an eye chart. It looks like they're. It looks like they're Vanuatu in the South Indian state of Kerala, which yeah, easy for me to say. On his return, the Emirates plane, it says crash landed at Dubai Airport. Incredibly, all of those on board survived. The plane engulfed in flames. So on Tuesday, the lucky ticket number 0845 was drawn from the Dubai Goodbye Duty Free Millennium Millionaire on the Concourse A in the terminal. So he bought the ticket at the airline terminal, I believe. And there you go. It's the 17th ticket he had purchased over the years. And came 4 months before his retirement. He's worked since '78. He said it's miracle and value is more precious gift from God. Indeed, I would say so. So I usually end it with like some bizarre death or something, but you had so many bizarre deaths that I thought I would end it with a bizarre life.
I like that story. It's positive.
So should we do any more, or should we call it a night? We have a few listeners.
Oh, okay.
Any more entertainment, or what do you got?
Let's see. Well, there's this thing in Russia.
I collect these all week, friends, so we can go on.
That's true. We could go on and on. Well, there's this thing in Russia, their space program. It's called the Beacon Project, and they're creating the brightest star in the sky. They're launching it this summer, and it's basically a satellite, and it's going to be like a pyramid shape, super reflective. It'll reflect sunlight. It'll orbit the Earth, and it'll be seen worldwide. And the reason they're doing this is the Russians want to get the Russian children interested in the space program. So they're going to launch this, and everyone's going to be able to see it. It's supposed to be the brightest star in the sky. So I can't wait till they do this, and I look up in the sky and see it. They didn't have the exact date. They just said this summer they wanted to do it. So I hope they do it soon. But it's called the Beacon Project.
It's going to be shaped like a great big bottle of vodka. I have an interesting, if I can call this interesting, and this caught my attention because a lot of the people that listen to my show, I'm sure, have noticed. We talk a lot about Fukushima and various things that have to do with it. Well, a lot of people are concerned that Hillary Clinton is going to send us in a direction that is building more nuclear power plants. For one thing, she believes in global warming, which is good to begin with. Now, there are two camps on it. Like we've talked before, there are pro-life and pro-choice libertarians. There are pro-nuke and anti-nuke leftists. And the trouble with Hillary, no surprise here, she's changed her mind 8 times. Daily Caller, again, if it's nuke friends, it's poison, be against it. Hillary has flipped on nuclear power 8 times while running for office. Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton, who should be in stripes instead of in front of them, has flipped on nuclear power 8 times while running for office, according to analysis of her public opinion positions by the Daily Caller News Foundation. She has consistently opposed nuclear power, therefore, to bring in all of you that are on the left and right, such as myself, who are anti-nuclear, during her campaign, but supported it once she got into office. the DCNF's analysis shows this clearly. Clinton's current energy plan, outlined in her 2016 platform, as you can see right there, have they make no mention of nuclear power, but discuss wind and solar in glowing terms. However, when Clinton was running for the Democratic nomination in '08, however, she started off from a pro-nuclear power station saying, I think nuclear has to be part of our energy solution in February of '07. We get about 20% of our energy power and energy from nuclear power in our country. Other countries like France get much more, so we have to look at it because it doesn't put greenhouse emissions in the air. No, friends, but even when they are running correctly, they spew into the air tritium and a number of other radionuclides that do nothing but destroy the quality of your life. And this is what happens when they're running well. She says, I'm an agnostic about nuclear power. This was in '07 during a debate. Until we figure out what we're going to do with the waste and the cost, it's very hard to see nuclear as part of the future. Now, how did she change from February of '07 to July of '07, where now there is no future? When a couple months prior, she said there was a future. She said that's where American technology comes in. Let's figure out what we're going to do about the waste. In other words, she can always say that she changed her mind because we're doing such great things with the waste. But we're not. We have no idea what to do. If someone says they're going to try to work on it, she calls that a technological breakthrough. In her '08 race with Obama, as it got tighter, Hillary migrated even more vehemently anti-nuclear position, explicitly excluding the industry from her platform. I don't include nuclear power in my energy policy, she said, which I think is an appropriate approach. However, in '08, after she lost the caucus, she said, I have a comprehensive energy plan that does not rely on nuclear power, so she's sticking with it. However, when she lost the race in '08, her views regarding nuclear power shifted. She began representing American nuclear companies as Obama's Secretary of State. In other words, she's all for the subsidies to make these things more affordable. Otherwise, they'd never be able to exist. So you and I and pay to do this. She says, I think nuclear power will remain a component of energy supply globally for the United States. This was in October of 2012. And it goes on and on and on. 8 times that this crazy hag has changed her mind regarding a technology that sickens every single person reading this in some way, shape, or
That's awful. I hate. That's why I'm in the middle, because I hate that Hillary switches up things. Donald Trump will say something and then say, "Oh, I was just being sarcastic," and then it's like, what are you supposed to believe? I mean, you have to vote for somebody.
I don't mind the sarcasm thing so much with Trump. If you've watched him a lot, you can kind of tell what he means. Other times they just completely take him out of context. Like when he was talking about, he wasn't talking about assassinating her. He was talking about, I think, as a voting bloc, what would happen if she was to elect these judges. He was talking about a hypothetical time when judges were elected. She's not even elected yet. So for him to have said that was a call to arms, I thought was a dirty trick from the left. But no matter what, I think Gary Johnson, particularly, and to a lesser degree, Jill Stein, is going to do very well this year. Princess, for those of you that don't know, I also run a dog setting service and other at my house. This is going very much. So that's mostly what I've got today. Do you have anything to close us out with?
Well, Jill Stein, she's supposed to be on CNN August 17th. Now, I don't know if that's going to change, but Anderson Cooper said that he was going to interview her next. So that should be interesting. And the other third party candidate, I called Evan McMullen. And supposedly he's an independent candidate and he's backed by Mitt Romney. He's a former chief policy director for the House Republican Conference and a former CIA operations officer. So I really don't know much else about this man, Evan McMullen, but he's thrown his hat in the race, and he's backed by Mitt Romney's people. So I guess that's all we got left is Gary Johnson, Jill Stein, and now this newcomer, Evan McMullen, uh, for a third party. I still don't know who to vote for. I try to watch as much third party, find out as much as I can about someone else.
You've broken my
A
heart.
Hillary fan or a Trump fan.
You've shattered. I'll tell you why. Because you forgot. You forgot Dickie Duncan.
Oh.
That's right. Richard Duncan, friends. Richard Duncan is a conservative who was running in the Independent Party, and I interviewed him on the streets of Cleveland. I'm going to go to screen share here. There is a pro-gun, pro-constitution. Um, he's weak on the Fourth Amendment, but not as bad as Trump. He thinks we need to make some concessions for uh, for things such as terrorism. And you go, well, that's a slippery slope. But by and large, right there, Dickie Duncan, Richard Duncan, our show, of course, named him Dickie Duncan, is running and is a third candidate. So Richard Duncan, I'm telling you, I think he's going to be on the ballot in Ohio. All right, friends, you've been listening to the Media Speaks. You can find us on YouTube, Media Speaks. You can definitely find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. I've been on Twitter under the correct use, Sandra the Gangi, all show long. You can get a hold of me at the correct use at hotmail.com. Of course, passingtime.biz. I am also on Tumblr. I think I'm the only person on Tumblr. Anne Marie, where can they find you?
Here on YouTube at themediaspeaks.com.
Good night, friends.